and parasympathetic fibers. Motor, sensor, and parasympathetic fibers. Point number one, right please. The nucleus is here, or you will finish, or you will go on. Now choose. Yeah.
For what?
For speak with your friend. I say my idea. How you feel? Now right please. Trigeminal nerve has two types of the nucleuses. Type number one, right please. The motor nucleus of trigeminal nerve. The motor nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. We studied together, you know, right please. It's located in pons. It's located in the pons, in the tegmental part of it. In the tegmental part of the pons. Open the brackets and write please. Function of this motor nerve. Function of this motor nerve. My friends, write and mark it to remember forever. It is innervated all mastication muscles of our body. It is innervated all mastication or chewing muscles of our body. Shad, stand up please. The name of all our mastication muscles, which we study together. What? The name of all our mastication muscles, which we study in previous semester.
So we don't know what does mean masticate.
Chewing.
Muscle in here, in the mouth, in the mandible and the maxilla.
I don't know why you show your hands. I want to listen exactly the names of these muscles.
In the muscle, buka.
Oh, really?
No, Buka told me
You're
buka.
doing by your Google. Fantastic.
Buka is
Fantastic.
change.
Masseter, number one. No. Finish. Right, please. First one. Musculus masseter. Here, now make the chewing by buccinator. Do it. Chew by buccinator. Chewing by buccinator. The feet first of all, then speak. Here. Masseter. Second one. Dilshad, maybe you come to my lesson to say me the names of these muscles. Here. Maybe
If I know it, I will prepare.
this is your mission today.
ASEAN muscle.
Wait, what?
ASEAN muscle? It is.
What it means?
ASEAN.
Translate the mustache by this muscle. By the name. Fantastic. Second one, right please. Temporal muscle. Musculus temporalis. Brilliant. And last two, it is pterygoideus medialis and lateralis. Now 1 minute attention. From these four muscles, look at it. Guys, don't forget, you will pass after 1 month the final exam. And for many from your students, it will include all the material. It is the students who didn't pass normally the previous exams. Let's say many of them will pass all of this material. Let's say, look here please, from these four muscles, two located outside of the bones. It is the masseter and the temporal. Two is located inside of the vertical process of the mandible. It is pterygoideus medialis and lateralis. Let's say, remember forever, the function of the motor nucleus, it is innervated the mastication muscles. Now write please, sensor nucleuses of the trigeminal nerve. Sensor nucleuses of the trigeminal nerve. Right, please. There are three sensor nucleuses of trigeminal nerve. The first one, we call the biggest principal nucleus of trigeminal nerve. Biggest or principal nucleus of trigeminal nerve. Guys, right, please. It's located in the same place with motor nucleus. Let's say it is the tegmentum of the pons. Both of them here. And the function of it, write and remember and mark it, my friends. It has only one function. It is proprioreceptive center. Let's say, before you remember, yeah, we draw the afferent pathways, which goes to sensory nucleuses of trigeminal nerve. One is exteroreceptive, second is the proprioreceptive. That's a proprioreceptive one come exactly to the main nucleus of trigeminal nerve. Second one, the spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve. Spinal nucleus. It is located, my friends, and in medulla oblongata, and the uppermost part of the spinal cord. Let's say from medulla oblongata by foramen occipitalis major. It is continuous to downwards to the cervical part of the spinal cord. Let's say, my friends, it's very long nucleus. And right, please, it has only exteroreceptive function. It has only exteroreceptive function. Temperature and pain. Temperature and pain. And last one, my friends, mesencephalic nucleus. Mesencephalic show the place of location in midbrain. Mesencephalic nucleus of trigeminal nerve. Right, please, it is located just laterally to aqueduct. It's located just laterally to the aqueduct. And about structure I will speak after. I will explain. Here we have the pseudo-unipolar neurons, which forms two roots, yeah? But after I will tell it you. Now write, please, function of this nucleus. It is also proprioreceptive centers, like the main one. Like the main one. Let's say, guys, let's make conclusion. We understand that our trigeminal nerve has two types of the nucleuses. The motor and the sensor. Motor is only one, sensor nucleuses is three. Now write second point, the roots of trigeminal nerve. Here, guys, everything is very simple. Look on the picture, please. Look on the picture, please. Both these structures which you see in the picture, it is the roots of trigeminal. But one is very small and slim. Second is very huge and big. The big root, it is the sensory root of trigeminal nerve. The small root, it is the motor root. Let's say right, please. Trigeminal nerve has two roots. First one we call the sensory root of trigeminal nerve.
The big root.
Let's say right, please. It is the biggest root. It is the biggest root. It is formed by the fibers which start from trigeminal ganglion and finish inside of three nucleuses which I described you before. Let's say once again, this root starts from the trigeminal ganglion and finish inside of the nucleuses which I described you before. Now continue, it's not written here, but continue please. This root, it is divided into two portions. The central portion and the peripheral portion. This root divides into two portions. The central portion and peripheral portion. Write please, central portion of the root. Once again, the sensory root start from the ganglion and finish in the nucleus. So it is divided into two portions. The central portion and peripheral portion. The central portion, it forms by central process of pseudo-unipolar neuron, by the central process of pseudo-unipolar neuron. Look here please, let's try to draw it. Let's say, for example, this is the Gasser ganglion, which is the main ganglion of it, yeah? And from this Gasser ganglion, pseudo-unipolar neuron started. You know, pseudo-unipolar neuron has only one process, which we divide it into two, yeah, which is axon, which we divide it into two portions. The distal portion and proximal portion. The proximal portion we call central portion. The distal portion we call peripheral portion. Let's say, my friends, 1 minute attention. The central portion, the central one, right please, central portion, start from Gasser ganglion, and goes to the sensor nucleuses of trigeminal nerve, which is three, I tell it before. Once again, let's continue what I say you. That's a sensory root divided into two portions, central and peripheral. Central one start from gaser ganglion and right please. It forms by central process of pseudo-unipolar neurons, by central process of the pseudo-unipolar neurons, and it goes, like we say you before, to the sensory nucleuses of trigeminal nerve. This is number one, central portion. Number two, peripheral portion of this root, peripheral portion. It is presented by separate nerves. It is presented by separate nerves, in the brackets right please, branches of trigeminal nerve. It is presented by separate nerves, branches of trigeminal nerve, which is finished or in the skin or in the mucous membrane by formation of receptors. Let's say here, my friends, will be the receptor which is finished in the skin or in the mucous membrane. Let's make conclusion what I say you. 1 minute attention. We understand that our trigeminal nerve has two roots. Like I said before, biggest root, it is the sensory root, small root, it is the motor root. This sensory root, which is great visible in both this picture, this is the sensory root, the biggest part. This is the sensory root, the biggest part. This sensory root, guys, it is divided into two portions. Central portion, which goes from ganglion to inside, to the cranial cavity, to the nucleuses of trigeminal nerve. And the peripheral portions, which start again from ganglion, but goes outside to cranial cavity, to the skin and mucous membrane. Let's say what will be the generally conduction of the impulse? By peripheral part, it will come to the ganglion. From the ganglion by central part, it will go to the nucleuses. This will be exactly the pathway. Right, please. Second root, the motor root. Like I said you before, the motor root, it is started from motor nucleus, sorry, it is only one. From motor nucleus of trigeminal nerve. And like I said you before, write and remember please, it is attached, and mark this, it is attached. 1 minute, look everybody here. Now my hand, it is the motor root, sensory root. The sensory root, I say, for example, my cubital joint, it will be the Gasserian ganglion. Let's say my arm, it will be central portion. My forearm, it will be peripheral portion. Is it understandable? Now this peripheral portion divided into three big branches, ophthalmic one, maxillary one, and mandibular one. Now what is important, look and remember please, motor branch connected with mandibular nerve. Let's say ophthalmic and maxillary, it's pure sensory nerves. Only in mandibular one we have motor branches. Let's say write it, please, and remember. The motor root connected with mandibular branch of trigeminal nerve. Mandibular branch of trigeminal nerve. Open the brackets and write in the brackets. Let's say we come to conclusion that first two branches, ophthalmic and maxillary branch, it's purely sensory nerves. And mandibular one, it is mixed nerve. It has and sensory branches and motor root, which is connected with it. Next small topic name, right? Please hurry up, guys. The really time is critically short, but subject is big. Right, please. The ganglion of trigeminal nerve. The ganglion of trigeminal nerve. Guys, you can ask me why I say you to write. All the information is given. Because then you write, you better remember. Only this is the meaning. Don't think that the information, I give little more than it's given, but generally all information which is necessary is given. Let's say right, please. We call it by author the Gasserian ganglion. The Gasserian ganglion. It's located inside of cranial cavity. Like I say you before, above foramen ovale and rotundum, above. And exactly it's located, 1 minute attention, look everybody here, please. It is located inside of impression. Palpate it, please. Inside of impression, which is located in anterior surface of pyramid of temporal bone, which we call trigeminal impression, impressio trigemini. My friends, I want to remind you, 1 minute attention. I want to remind you that the bone is very small, it's hard for me to show for everybody, but in midpoint of anterior surface we have protrusion which we call tegmentum tympani. In front of tegmentum and behind of tegmentum there are one impressions. In front of it there are impression of trigeminal nerve. Behind of it we have impression of tegmentum.
In front is trigeminal.
In front, that's right, please. It is located in anterior surface of pyramid, in front of tegmentum tympani. This is tegmentum tympani. Let's say in front of it, you see depression. It is depression. Continue, please. Dura mater in this place forms the cavity for Gasserian ganglion. Dura mater forms the cavity for Gasserian ganglion by splitting into two branches. Once again, dura mater forms the cavity for Gasserian ganglion by division into two layers. 1 minute, look everybody here. I want to remind you guys that dura mater contains two layers, but on the base of skull, these two layers fuse to each other. In the fornix of the skull, they form the sinuses. In the base they fuse, but in some places of the base, these two layers can be disconnected. For example, formation of sinus petrosus major, sinus petrosus minor, sinus sigmoideus, sinus occipitalis. That's in some places. Here also, or sinus cavernosus. Here also, two layers of dura mater split to each other, and they form the cavity. A special cavity inside of which we have the Gasserian ganglion. Remember, please. Now write, please. Gasserian ganglion contains pseudo-unipolar neurons. In the brackets, write, please. Dear, wait, he will come. Then you will go. Okay, go.
Contain.
Once again,
Gasserian
ganglion contains pseudo-unipolar neurons, which is the sensory neurons. It contains pseudo-unipolar neurons, which is sensory neurons. Once again, Gasserian ganglion contains pseudo-unipolar neurons, which is sensory neurons. 1 minute. Let's make comparing with spinal cord. In the spinal cord, if you remember, sensory neurons located in the spinal ganglia. In the spinal ganglia, which is near the posterior part of the spinal cord. For trigeminal nerve, the sensory neuron located inside of Gasserian ganglia. Continue, please. This pseudo-unipolar neuron divided into two processes. Right, look above. Above we draw everything about it, then I describe for you sensor radix of it. That's it divided into two processes, central and peripheral. All information about it I give you before. Okay? Now continue, please. The branches of trigeminal nerve. The branches of trigeminal nerve. Right, please. Trigeminal nerve subdivided into three big branches. Branch number one we call nervus ophthalmicus. In the brackets, right, please. Sensory nerve. Branch number 1 we call nervus ophthalmicus. Branch number 2 we call nervus maxillaris, again write in the bracket sensory nerve. And the biggest branch, branch number 3, nervus mandibularis, right please, mixed nerve. Nervus mandibularis. Mixed nerve. Now write please, write. Inside of the branches of trigeminal nerve, we have also vegetative nerve fibers. Once again, inside of branches of trigeminal nerve, we have also vegetative nerve fibers. Number 1, right please, the sympathetic fibers, which we call sympathetic root. And number 2, parasympathetic fibers, which we call parasympathetic root. Once again, inside of branches of trigeminal nerve, we have also the vegetative nerves. You can ask me why it is necessary. Now 1 minute attention. If you remember before, I say you that the sensor nerves, which start from trigeminus, they finish or in skin or in mucous membrane. It's the part, listen to me now. The part of the nerves which is finished in the mucous membrane, they innervated the salivatory glands, which we have here. But you know our salivatory glands works vegetatively. We can't by our consciousness regulate the works of salivatory glands. That's why for regulation of this work, we need to have parasympathetic and sympathetic. What the main function of parasympathetic system? You know, it is dilatation. Sympathetic system made the constriction. That's why remember forever. That's why inside of the fibers, after that I will describe each nerve for you. All these fibers we will name. For example, the biggest our salivatory gland, parotid gland, will be innervated by branch of nervus mandibularis. Our 2 next submental and submandibular glands will be innervated by branches of nervus maxillaris. That's all these questions we will study after. Now just remember that there are 3 main branches, and inside of these branches, except sensor and motor nerves, we have vegetative nerves, which is come from sympathetic and parasympathetic roots. Now continue please. Both these roots started from 5 parasympathetic ganglions, both on sympathetic root and parasympathetic. Start from 5 parasympathetic ganglions. From 5 parasympathetic ganglions. All these ganglions I will give you. Now you can write the names of these ganglions. First one, ganglion ciliare, ciliar ganglion. Second one, otic ganglion, otic ganglion. Third one, pterygopalatin ganglion. All these ganglions we will study and I will show for you. Fourth one, submental ganglion. And fifth one, submandibular ganglion. Let's say once again, ciliar ganglion, otic ganglion, pterygopalatin ganglion, submental ganglion, and submandibular ganglion. This is 5 biggest parasympathetic ganglions which we have in head region. And they will give 2 types of the roots to the branches of nervus trigeminus. Sympathetic part. You can ask me, how parasympathetic ganglion gives sympathetic roots? Answer is very simple. Now look everybody here, please. Of course, in parasympathetic ganglion, we don't have sympathetic roots. But, 1 minute attention, look at please. These ganglions has great arterial supply nodes. And in the place of formation of vascular plexuses, you know, vessels has only sympathetic innervation. They don't have parasympathetic innervation. Let's say from the vessels which is supply the ganglion, sympathetic branches will come. Let's say, for example, this is ganglion. Ganglion has supply, arterial supply. From ganglion starts parasympathetic route, but from vessels which is supply this ganglion, sympathetic route start. It's an idea understandable for you. If you understand, let's start to study separate branches. Right, please. The first branch, it is nervus ophthalmicus.
Sorry, doctor. All the sympathetic is enlarged, and the parasympathetic is
Sympathetic constriction, parasympathetic. If sympathetic doesn't work, we have dilatation. Or it can be without opposite work of sympathetic, if exact work of parasympathetic. For the vessels, it is opposite work of sympathetic. Why? Because vessels doesn't have parasympathetic system. Let's say if sympathicus doesn't work, vessels dilate. For another structures which has the for example, ducts. For the ducts, sympathetic fibers will constrict the duct, parasympathetic will dilate the duct. But for vessels, they doesn't have parasympathetic fibers.
So in the vessel, the parasympathetic will be
Yes,
enlarged.
that's why I say you. If you remember, we studied, if we cut the vessel, we make desympathization. Sympathicus is cut it and vessels dilate. Idea is understandable. Let's say right, please. Branch number 1, nervus ophthalmicus. Right, please. This is the first uppermost branch of trigeminal nerve. Uppermost branch of trigeminal nerve. Now look on the previous picture. Look on the previous picture. Here you can see that from gasevier ganglion, 3 main branches started. Uppermost branch, it is ophthalmic one. Middle one, it is maxillary one. Lowest one, it is mandibular. And you can see that motor one come and connected with the mandibular. That's it. Look at please. First, on the most upper branch, we call nervus ophthalmicus. Right, please. From cranial cavity, it is come to the orbit by fissura orbitalis superior. Let's say from cranial cavity, by fissura orbitalis superior, it is come to the orbit. But right, please, before coming to the orbit, before reach the orbit, it is divided into 3 main branches. Let's say for nervus ophthalmicus, we describe 3 big branches. First one, right please, we call nervus frontalis, frontal branch. All of them I will show for you. Firstly right, then I will show. Second one we call nervus nasociliaris, nasociliaris. And third one we call nervus lacrimalis. Let's say once again, nervus frontalis, nervus nasociliaris, and nervus lacrimalis. Even the name of the nerve show for you function of it. But before start to describe each one, now look on the picture. Let's say this is the gasevian ganglion. You can see that it is divided into 3 main portions. Upper, middle, and lower. Upper portion we call nervus ophthalmicus. And look here please, it's also divided into 3 main portions. From up to down. Let's say first one, most upper one, and the biggest one. It is nervus frontalis. Look here please, it's great visible here. Second middle one, it is nasociliar one. It goes to the nasal cavity part. And last one, it is lacrimal one, which is come exactly to the lacrimal gland and innervating. Let's say right please, branch number 1, nervus frontalis. Nervus frontalis. Right, please. Nervus frontalis, by fissura orbitalis superior, which I said before, come to the orbital cavity. And inside of the orbital cavity, it is subdivided into 2 big branches. Both these branches we studied, by the way, before. First one we call nervus supratrochlearis. Second, we call nervus supraorbitalis. Let's say once again, frontal nerve inside of the orbit, subdivided into two big branches, nervus supratrochlearis, nervus supraorbitalis. Now look here please, I remove the glass and show for you the place of position of these two nerves. First of all, I put my finger in the angle between orbit, supraorbital line, and between the vertical line from medial angle of the orbit here. If you remember, I teach you before that in this point we have supratrochlear nerve and supratrochlear artery. They pass together. Let's remember please, this is the place of location of supratrochlear nerve. Supraorbital nerve located little bit laterally to this place. Look here please, we take supraorbital margin and we divided it into three portions, medial, middle, and the lateral. Now in the border between medial and middle third, I want to remind you that in 50% of the persons, there are sulcus, like here. In another 50%, there are the aperture, foramen. Let's say, my friends, by this foramen, nervus supraorbitalis, with the same name, artery, will come to. By the way, artery, will be branch of the arteriophthalmic, which is from internal carotid artery. Remember, please. Let's say, remember, please. Nervus frontalis gives two important branches, supraorbitalis and supratrochlearis. What the function of them? Right, please. This is the sensory nerve, which is innervated our forehead region. This is the sensory nerves, which is innervated our forehead region. Also, guys, they give the branches to the superior eyelid and to the dorsum of the nose. To the superior eyelid and to the dorsum of the nose. Let's say we understand that it is pure sensitive nerve. It doesn't have any motor fibers. Continue, please. Nerve number 2, which we call nervus nasociliaris. Nervus nasociliaris. Right, please. Nervus nasociliaris divided into 5 big branches, and it has one important ganglion, which is associated with this nerve. Let's say 5 important branches and one big ganglion. Let's start not from branches, but let's start from the ganglion. Right, please. Ganglion ciliare, the ciliar ganglion. Now look everybody in the picture. Ciliar ganglion located inside of the orbit, just behind of the eye. This is ganglion ciliare. Look here, please. Right, please. It is one of the biggest parasympathetic ganglions of head region. Okay. Head region. Yes, of course. It is head. Yes. It's not the gluteal region. It is the head. What the function of it? Right, please. Like I said you before, it gives two radixes, sympathetic and parasympathetic, which is joined, connected with nasociliar nerve and its branches, which is joined and connected with nasociliar nerve and its branches. Why, guys? Right, please. For innervation of the glands. For innervation of small glands, which is located in the mucous membrane of the nose. Let's say nasociliar nerve will innervate it, not the skin like the frontal one, but it will innervate the mucous membrane. But in the mucous membrane we have the glands. Let's say they need to have vegetative innervation, like I said you before. Now, right, please. Nasociliar nerve gives 5 important branches. 5 important. Right, please. Number 1, it is anterior and posterior ethmoidal branches. Anterior and posterior ethmoidal branches. Open the brackets and write. They innervated ethmoidal bullas. You remember bulla, it is the sinus which is located in the ethmoid bone. We have 3, yeah? anterior, middle, and posterior. And middle is biggest one, which we call the bulla. Also, it is innervated the sphenoid sinus, the sinus of the sphenoid bone. And my friends, right please, it is innervated anterior portion of the nasal mucosa. Once again, it is innervated 3 cells in the ethmoid bone. It is innervated the sphenoid sinus and anterior portion of nasal mucosa. Second branch. Some literature say that it is the most important branch of the nasociliar nerve. We call it the long ciliar nerve, nervus ciliaris longus. Usually, guys, I give here look and Latin and English terminology. Why? Because in your control work, of course, I will ask you both. That's why, please, especially I put here the Latin terms. Please study and know the Latin. What the function of it? Right, please. Ciliaris longus nerve innervated the tunics of eye. The eye tunics, eyeball tunics. Next one, guys. Nervus infratrochlearis. Infratrochlearis. Here there are small exceptions. Before I say you guys that branches of nasociliar nerve mainly innervated the mucous membrane, it's true, but there are exceptions. It is this nerve, my friends, infratrochlear nerve. Before I describe you trochlear nerve, this one we call infratrochlear. Trochlear is here. Let's say infratrochlear will be here. Right, please. It is innervated small portion of skin which is located in medial angle of the orbit. In the medial angle of the orbit. But also, it is innervated the mucous membrane of lacrimal sac. Saccus lacrimalis, which is located in the same name depression. Next branch, guys, right please. It is the sensory root of the ciliar ganglion. The sensory root of the ciliar ganglion. In the brackets, right please, it is provided sensory innervation of the glands inside of the orbit. It is the lacrimal glands, yeah, if you remember, which is producing the lacrimal liquid. And last one, it is the short ciliar nerve. Short ciliar nerve. With the long ciliar nerve together, it is innervating the tunics of eyeball, of eyes. And long and short ciliar nerves together innervated the tunics of eyeball. Let's say once again, guys, let's make conclusion. We understand that nervus nasociliaris has one ganglion by which it is associated and by which it is paid the sympathetic and parasympathetic fibers, and it is divided into 5 important nerves. From these 5 important nerves, 4 is innervating only the mucous structures, 1 is innervating portionally the skin in the medial angle of the orbit. Continue please. Next branch, it is nervus lacrimalis. It is the last branch of first nervus ophthalmicus. Last branch of nervus ophthalmicus. My friends, what I want just to say, not so longly, right please, the main function of this nerve, it is shown by its name. It is innervating the lacrimal gland. It is innervated lacrimal gland. Let's say 1 minute attention. Because it is innervated lacrimal gland, it must to have the vegetative nerves. Right, please. Vegetative nerves come to this gland by 2 ways. Way number 1. Once again, vegetative nerves come by 2 ways. Way number 1. It forms anastomose with nervus zygomaticus, which is nerve number 1. It forms anastomose by nervus zygomaticus, which is branch of nervus maxillaris. Right, please. Open the brackets and write, please. From facial nerve, vegetative fibers come to nervus maxillaris, then goes to nervus zygomaticus, and from nervus zygomaticus come to nervus lacrimalis. Let's say once again, hard way. Let's say once again. Nervus facialis gives the vegetative fibers, which goes to nervus maxillaris. Then nervus maxillaris gives the zygomatic branch. Because of anastomose with nervus lacrimalis, these vegetative branches, which is parasympathetic, come to nervus lacrimalis. This is vein number 1. Vein number 2, right please. Sympathetic structures come to the nervus lacrimalis from ciliary ganglion. From ciliary ganglion. This is mainly, guys, what I want to say about ophthalmic nerve. Let's make conclusion. Nervus ophthalmic, what here?
I say these are this.
Second way come from ciliary ganglion. Let's say 2 ways. First way, by anastomose with nervus zygomaticus. Second way, exactly sympathetic branches come from the ciliary ganglion. And it is innervated the lacrimal gland. Now 1 minute, let's make small conclusion. Like I said you before, our nervus ophthalmicus subdivided into 3 big branches. Nervus frontalis, nervus nasociliaris, and nervus lacrimalis. All of them is sensor nerves, but they have also the vegetative fibers, especially number 2 and number 3. Don't chew it there. Nasolacrimalis and nasociliaris and lacrimalis. Now write please, nervus maxillaris. Nervus maxillaris. This is the middle branch of trigeminal nerve. Middle branch of trigeminal nerve. Right please. From cranial cavity, it's come to outside by foramen rotundum. You know it, yeah? We studied together. Once again, by foramen rotundum, from cranial cavity, it comes to outside. Open the brackets and write, please. And it is located inside of fossa pterygopalatina. Fossa pterygopalatina, which is deepest part of fossa infraorbitalis. Now 1 minute attention. I am surgeon. I want to find this nerve, where it is located. You remember, yeah, in lateral view of the cranial, we have 2 big fossas. One is located in normal lateralis, we studied together. One is located above the zygomatic arch. We call it fossa temporalis. Second located below the zygomatic arch. We call it fossa infratemporalis. They both of them is connected to each other, behind of zygomatic arch. Now the deepest part of fossa infratemporalis, which is located near the body of sphenoid bone, we call fossa pterygopalatina. If I want to open this fossa, 1 minute attention, I will cut and remove zygomatic arch and the vertical process of the mandible. That's why it is located behind of the mandible. That's why then this structure goes by foramen rotundum. That's why this is foramen rotundum. Look. By the foramen rotundum, it is come to outside. By foramen rotundum, it comes to outside. And it is exactly goes to fossa on the greater wing. Eh? My friends, you don't need so much to see it because you know where is it. In the greater wing of the sphenoid bone. Is it visible? Of course, especially for you, you're confused why you don't need. Because you study. Let's say you don't need. It's a foramen rotundum. How many apertures we have in greater wing?
3.
Yes. How many apertures? 1 minute. After he confused. Then I say you don't need to see make this movement. It is why we don't need. Because you study the bones, dear Haftar. You pass exam from osteology. Chishta. How many apertures we have in greater wing? 1 Why? Why you don't speak? How many apertures? Come to me. Come to me. This is greater wing of the sphenoid bone. This is greater wing of sphenoid bone. Here there are 3 apertures. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Name these apertures. Which one is ovale?
This is ovale.
Huh?
This is
Also ovale. Foramen spinosum. Let's say now for us, sit down. Now for us, interesting, these 2 apertures, foramen rotundum and foramen ovale. Why? Because nervus maxillaris will come to outside by foramen rotundum, nervus mandibularis will come to outside by foramen ovale. Let's say, remember please, foramen spinosum is also interesting for us. Because nervus mandibularis will give the dura mater branch, which will come, let's say, mandibularis go out, but inferiorly it gives the branch, which is together with arteria meningia media, which is supplied dura mater. We studied, yeah? Come, gives the branch, which we call nervus cranialis, which is come to the cranial cavity, and innervated dura mater by foramen spinosum. Let's say, it also has attention to our lesson. Let's say right, please, once again. Let's say it comes to outside by foramen rotundum, and it is located inside of fossa pterygopalatina, behind of the mandible. Behind of the mandible. Now right, please. Inside of fossa pterygopalatina, nervus maxillaris gives several branches. Branch number 1, the biggest branch, we call nervus infraorbitalis. You know very well this nerve because many times when we study the bones, we name this structure, nervus infraorbitalis. First of all, right please.
Sorry, how many branches?
It gives approximately 7 branches, but from 7 branches we will study together only 5. Let's say right please. First one, nervus infraorbitalis. It is originated in deep face region, fossa pterygopalatina, yeah, which I say you. Continue, please. And by fissura orbitalis inferior, not superior, but inferior, it is come to the orbit. By fissura orbitalis inferior, it's come to the orbit. Inside of orbit, it is come to fissura infraorbitalis, which is continuous by canalis infraorbitalis, which is finished by foramen infraorbitalis. Look everybody here, please. To show these structures, in which bone, by the way, I will show these structures. Thank you very much. Orbital surface of the maxilla. Look everybody here. Fissura infraorbitalis, canalis infraorbitalis, foramen infraorbitalis.
Can I see?
1 minute. Fissura, canal, foramen. Let's say it is passed by fissura infraorbitalis, then it's come to canalis infraorbitalis, and by foramen infraorbitalis it is come to outside. Right, please. Let's say inside of the orbit it is come to fissura infraorbitalis, then it passes by canalis infraorbitalis, and finally by foramen infraorbitalis it's come to fossa canina. Fossa canina, we study it, my friends. It is depression which is located in the anterior surface of maxilla. It is come to fossa canina, and here it is divided into several branches, approximately 7 branches, which we call together pes ansarinus minor, the small goose leg, pes ansarinus minor. Now 1 minute, look on the picture. It's great visible here. This is exactly our infraorbital branch. It is passed inside of the same main canal, and it comes to outside, inside of fossa canina, and here it is divided into several branches. What the function of these branches? Right, please. They innervated the skin in the lateral surface of the nose, in the superior lip, and in the angle of the mouth. Let's say the place which is related with the parts which I say you, let's say this part, look, all this part. It is innervated by the branches of fossa of nervus infraorbitalis. Right, please. It is gives the branch to inferior eyelid, let's say superior eyelid. It is innervated by supratrochlear nerve, which gives the branch to him. Inferior eyelid, it is innervated by nervus infraorbitalis. Continue, please. Very important idea, right, please. Before passing through the infraorbital canal, even before coming to the orbit, Now look me. It is the most important information for stomatologists, but for you it's also great important. Nervus infraorbitalis will innervate all superior tooths. All superior tooths will be innervated with him. Now how it will be happen? Right, please. It gives three branches which is innervated the tooths. First one, posterior superior alveolar nerve, nervus alveolaris posterior superior. Where is it? I will try to show it for you, but it's not so good visible in the picture. This is posterior superior alveolar nerve. Look at the picture. I show it for you. Right, please. In 70% of cases, it is separately originated from nervus maxillaris. In 30% of cases, it is branches of nervus infraorbitalis. Let's say once again. In 70% of cases, it is originated exactly from nervus maxillaris. In 30% of cases, it is originated from nervus infraorbitalis. Continue, please. Second branch, we call nervus alveolaris media and anterior. Third one, anterior. Let's say posterior, media, and anterior. Second one, nervus alveolaris superior, media. Third one, nervus alveolaris superior, anterior. 1 minute attention, guys. What the function of these nerves? Let's, once again, I will repeat it. Let's say first branch, nervus alveolaris superior, posterior. Second one, nervus alveolaris superior, anterior. Third one, nervus alveolaris superior, media. What the function of these nerves? Right, please. Nervus alveolaris superior, posterior innervated the molars of maxilla.
Sorry, doctor. This median superior alveolaris and superior anterior definitely come from the infraorbitalis.
Yes, strongly. If posterior can come or from maxillaris or from infraorbitalis, anterior and media in 100% of cases, it is branches of nervus infraorbitalis. In 100% of cases. Let's say right, please. 1 minute attention. Now open the brackets and write. These three nerves together innervated all superior teeth. How? 1 minute, listen. Before molar, right, please. They make anastomosis between each other. And they forms superior alveolar plexus. Plexus alveolaris superior. After you will see inferior one, which will be formed by mandibular branches. Let's say once again, superior alveolar plexus. From this superior alveolar plexus, by alveolar canals, you remember, alveolar canals, nerves will come to all superior tooths. Mainly, 1 minute, listen, mainly from posterior alveolar nerve. They will innervate the molars. From middle alveolar, they will innervate the canina. And finally from anterior, the incisors. Let's say remember please, anterior 2, middle 1, and all another with the posterior. But before giving the branches, they form anastomose to each other, which we call superior alveolar plexus. Let's say remember please. Superior alveolar plexus. It is started inside of the maxilla by alveolar canals. It is come to the dental alveolars, and by aperture on the tip of the root of the tooth, it is come inside of the root and innervated it. Open the digestive tract, first hour lesson the tooth, and refresh all this knowledge about them. Let's say this is nervus infraorbitalis, very important nerve. Right, please. Nerve number 2, it is nervus zygomaticus. Today we start to speak about it. If you remember, before I say you that nervus zygomaticus made anastomose with nervus lacrimalis and provided vegetative nerves to nervus lacrimalis. But mainly, right, please, this nervus zygomaticus, function of it, it is innervated the skin in the zygomatic region of our face. It is innervated the skin. And it gives 3 important branches. First branch, you know, it is the communicated branch with nervus lacrimalis, which we said before. Next 2 branches, my friends, it's very simple. Look here, please. I say you that it is innervated skin in this region. Then I say this region, what I mean. The part which is located in zygomatic and part which is located in temporal region. The part which is come to the temporal, we call second branch, zygomatic temporal nerve. The part which is innervated exactly zygomatic, we call zygomatico-facial nerve, face. Let's say ramus communicantes, ramus zygomatico-temporalis, ramus zygomatico-facialis. 3 nerves. From these 3 nerves, communicate one, provided vegetative fibers, I say you before, and connected with the lacrimal. 2 others is absolutely sensory nerves. It doesn't have another any function. Last one, my friends, right, please. It is ganglionic branches. Ganglionic branches. Before we study first ganglion, ganglion ciliare. Now we come to the second ganglion, which we call ganglion pterygopalatina. Ganglion, second parasympathetic ganglion, we call ganglion pterygopalatina. Why ganglion pterygopalatina? Open the brackets and write, please, because it is located in deep face region. You remember before I said, in fossa pterygopalatina we have nervus maxillaris, which is by foramen rotundum come exactly to the tip. But in the same place we have a second ganglion, which we call ganglion pterygopalatina. What the function of it, guys? It is provided the vegetative nerves to nervus maxillaris. Before I say you, these vegetative nerves come from nervus facialis. Then maxillaris gives the zygomatic branch, which is communicated with lacrimal one, and by this communication they come to the lacrimal gland. That's a neuron of this vegetative ganglion will provide vegetative parasympathetic branches to the lacrimal nerve. Sympathetic one, once again I say you, come from the vessels. Vascularization of this ganglion. That's a ganglion gives parasympathetic root. Vessels, which is supplied, gives the sympathetic root. Remember it, please. Let's say, guys, this is all branches. The clinical case, clinical importance for both these nerves, which we studied before, 1 minute attention. Symptoms we call trigeminite, inflammation of the trigeminal nerve generally. We call trigeminite. How we can check? First of all, what the clinical pain? Mainly trigeminite. It is shown for us by pain and by irregular constriction of the muscles. Now, my friends, how we can check this trigeminite? 3 points we have in the face where we can check 3 branches of nervus mandibularis, nervus trigeminus. From these 3 branches, 2 we study now. First point, it is in the place of projection of supraorbital nerve. Second point, it is in place of projection of nervus infraorbitalis, which is from the maxillary one. Remember, please, let's say if, for example, can I do in here? For example, our patients say that he has the heart pain in face region. I put my finger in the projection of nervus supraorbitalis and in the projection of nervus infraorbitalis, and I press here. And I check mainly which branch of nervus trigeminus involved inside of this inflammation, because we can have complete inflammation of all branches, or we can have separate inflammation of one branch, or maybe it doesn't have any connection with trigeminal inflammation. I must understand to make exactly treatment.
What about sinus? Because
maybe it is just the inflammation of the muscles. Maybe it is the problem which is connected with, for example, brain. Maybe it is the pain, headaches, which can have different origination. Don't think that all the pains in the face region, it will be only from the nerve inflammation. No, of course not. Not here. I say you in the border between medial and middle third of supraorbital. That's why you divide the supraorbital margin into 3 portions: medial, middle, and lateral. And the border between, if now, Aphrodite, you will put your finger, maybe you will palpate it. For example, I palpate it here groove. It means I don't have aperture. You also groove. There's a groove is great, but aperture doesn't palpate it. If you will palpate it absolutely smooth margin, it means you have aperture. If you will palpate it here groove like I palpated it, it means I have the groove. That's why the groove is you have aperture. That's why. But if 1 minute. For which another purpose we need this point, my friends, I very quickly will say. I say you, in this point, except the nerve, we have the same name artery. Touch wood, of course, if my patient has, for example, bleeding from forehead, I have 2 points to press the vessels. It is point of supratrochlear and supraorbital structure. Again, I say you, both pass together with arteries. Let's say if there are bleeding, for example, in forehead region, there are trauma, yeah? I need the temporally to arrest bleeding. I put my fingers in these 2 points, and I press them. That's a temporarily. Why I can do this manipulation? Because vessels is very superficial, and they located near the bone. Let's say I can, once again I say you, first point, it is cross point between 2 lines, supraorbital line and the descending line from middle point of the orbit. Here we have supratrochlear nerve. In the border between medial and middle third of supraorbital margin, we have supraorbital nerve. In the midpoint, 1 minute, look here please. In the border between medial and middle third of infraorbital margin, 1 finger below it, we have projection of infraorbital nerve. And finally, guys, look here please. If I will continue, look, let's say by a line I connected these 2 points, yeah? Midpoint between middle and middle third, midpoint between middle. If I will continue this line to downwards, I will come to foramen mentale. From foramen mentale will come to outside nervus alveolaris inferior, which is branch of nervus mandibularis. That's I look here, please. From the upper point, you provided vertical descending line. And in this vertical descending line, you will have branch of ophthalmic, branch of maxillary, and branch of mandibular nerve. And in these 2 points, in the point of infraorbital and mental, except the pressing, we can make a local anesthesia. If I will make local anesthesia of infraorbital nerve, exactly here, by injector, I inject the Novocaine. It gives the anesthesia of superior tooth for dental some manipulation. If I will make anesthesia in the place of nervus mentalis, it will give the anesthesia. I can do it and from inside the oral cavity. I want to say everything and advance, and it is mix everything. Right, please, the next name, it is nervus mandibularis. Nervus mandibularis. Right, please. Nervus mandibularis gives two, generally, finally, right, please. Nervus mandibularis gives the 7 important branches, but these 7 branches for us, we divide it into 2 big groups, the sensor and the motor nerves. Once again, it gives 7 important branches, but for us, all these branches, we divide it into 2 groups, the sensor and motor. Let's start from the motor nerves. Right, please, motor group of the nerves. Hurry up, guys, I have only 10 minutes. Motor group of the nerves. Right, please. In the motor group, we describe the nerves to all mastication muscles. I said it before. Let's write the name of them. First one, nervus masseter. Nervus masseter. I want to remind you osteology, which we studied before. Give me your pen. It is, 1 minute, look everybody here. This structure we call incisura mandibularis. It's located between 2 processes, yeah? Between coronal and condylar process. And by this incisura mandibularis, arteria and nervus masseterica from deep face region come to the musculus masseter, which is attached to angle of the orbit, angle of the mandible inferiorly, and supply it. That's I remember. First one, nervus masseterica. Second one, nervus temporalis profundus, anterior and posterior. Nervus temporalis profundus. It is divided into 2 branches, anterior and posterior. Now 1 minute, look here please. This is my temporal muscle. It has superiorly fan-made direction. I want to remind you that superiorly it is attached to linea temporalis inferior, inferior temporal line. Inferiorly, it forms the tendon, which is attached to the coronar process of the mandible. It is innervated by nervus temporalis profundus. 1 minute, look here please. 1 minute. Nervus temporalis profundus then come to this muscle, divided into 2 branches. Anterior, which is supply anterior surface, and posterior, which is supply posterior surface. Third nerve, nervus pterygoideus medialis, which is exactly come to the medial pterygoid muscle and supply nervus pterygoideus. I want to remind you, again we study, musculus pterygoideus medialis superiorly start from pterygoid process, inferiorly it is finished on the level of inner surface of angle of the mandible. That's why it has vertical direction. And last one we call nervus pterygoideus medialis. Nervus pterygoideus lateralis. Lateral. Lateral muscle.
Ito sphenoid bone.
1 minute, look at this. Lateral muscles start from the pterygoid process and finish on the inner surface of the condylar process of the mandible. That's why, look here, please. 1 minute, look everybody here. 1 minute, look everybody here. Here I have pterygoid process. Here I have the mandible. Medial muscles start from pterygoid process and come to the surgical neck, yeah, which we call the condylar. That's why it has horizontal direction. The lateral one. Medial one start from pterygoid process and come to the angle. It has longitudinal direction. That's why, guys, remember please, lateral muscle is horizontal, medial muscle is longitudinal. That's why medial is innervated by medial pterygoid nerve, lateral innervated by lateral pterygoid. That's why finally 4 nerves I show for you. Masseterica one, pterygoideus medialis lateralis, and temporalis profundus. Now, sensor branches of mandibular nerve. Hurry up, please. Yes, sensor. This is motor branches. Only mandibular nerve has motor branches. All other nerves, ophthalmic and maxillary, doesn't have it.
Mix.
Now write please, sensor nerves, sensor branches of nervus mandibularis. Number 1, the most important one, nervus lingualis. Nervus lingualis. My friends, I don't have so much time, just remember please, it is passed between the muscles which is formed the diaphragm of oral cavity, and it is come to the tongue. In the tongue it gives a lot of branches which is innervated the mucous membrane of the tongue. It's not the motor nerve. Motor branches to the tongue gives the hypoglossal one. As a hypoglossal nerve gives the motor innervation for the tongue. Nervus lingualis, it gives only sensory innervation. It is innervated the anterior part of the mucous membrane. Glossopharyngeus will innervate it posterior part. Second branch, time is very short, right please. Nervus auriculotemporalis. Nervus auriculotemporalis, very important nerve. Nervus auriculotemporalis. Look here please. This is nervus auriculotemporalis. 1 minute attention guys. What the importance of this nerve? Open the brackets and write please. Nervus auriculotemporalis, by the way, and nervus lingualis and nervus auriculotemporalis have the vegetative fibers. It is sensor nerves, but they have vegetative fibers. By the nervus lingualis, vegetative fibers come to 2 ganglions. You know, together we study ciliary one and pterygopalatinal one. Yeah. Now, my friends, to another, it is submental and submandibular. They are located near the same name glands. Auriculotemporalis take the parasympathetic fibers from otic ganglia. Otic, it is ear. Why they need to have parasympathetic? Why they need to have vegetative fibers? Because lingual one will innervate submental and submandibular salivatory glands. Auriculotemporal one will innervate the biggest salivatory gland, which we call parotid gland. That's why it is absolutely sensory nerves, but inside of these nerves we have vegetative fibers. They don't have any motor function. They provided only vegetative function. Let's say, together now with you, we study all ganglions. Before we say about ciliary one and pterygopalatin one. Now we say about submental, submandibular, and otic one. Remember, finally, there are 5. Let's say nervus auriculotemporalis. Once again, it is innervated our parotid gland. After it, my friends, 1 minute, look come here. It is come to temporal region, and in temporal region it is subdivided into 2 branches, ramus frontalis, ramus parietalis, and it is innervated the skin of all this region, frontal, parietal, occipital region. Remember it, please. Next important branch, right, please, small branch. 1 minute, guys, it's hard for me.
Third branch.
Third sensory branch we call ramus buccalis. Ramus buccalis. 1 minute attention. Buccal muscle, if you remember, it is a mimical muscle. It's not the mastication. All mimical muscles will have motor innervation by nervus facialis. Let's say innervation of our mimical muscles will be provided by. Let's say this is absolutely sensory nerve. What the function of nervus buccalis? 1 minute, look here, please. This is my buccal muscle. Inner surface of my buccal muscle covered by mucous membrane, and it has the receptors. Let's say nervus buccalis, it is innervated inner surface of buccal muscle. It means the mucous membrane which is covering it. Let's say, my friends, this is your main mistake in your control. Remember, please, buccal muscle or vaccinator muscle has 2 nerves. First one we call ramus buccalis nervi facialis. It provides motor innervation. Second one we call nervus buccalis. It is sensor. Let's say musculus buccinator has 2 innervations.
So if motor, what was the motor one?
First one we call ramus buccalis nervi facialis. It is motor one. Then you listen the name nervi facialis. Remember, nervi facialis make motor innervation for all our mimical muscles. Buccal muscle, it's also mimical muscle. Let's say mandibularis gives the sensory innervation. Facialis gives the motor innervation. Remember, please. Generally, it's what I want to say for you. Nervus, 1 minute. Abducens is very simple. It starts in the region of the pons and it is innervated. Only one muscle. It is the lateral rectus muscle. That's why, remember please, superior oblique muscle innervated by abducens, lateral rectus one innervated by, by trochlearis, lateral is by abducens, all another 4 innervated by oculomotorus. Abducens, it is singly motor nerve, it doesn't have any other functions. Guys, I put it in the screen, that's how you can record, and it can one also record.